Well, our next guest who's sitting in the studio, Neil, when we first heard about this guest, we thought she's an inspiration. We've got to get her on the show. She's the first Saudi to compete an Ironman race in 2003, the first Arab woman and Saudi national to qualify for the Ironman World Champs in Hawaii, a three-time Ironman World Championship finisher, and she's also a dentist. So there's nothing that she can't do. Dr. Dina Altayeb, thank you very much for coming into the studios of Talk 100.3. It's great to have you in here. Yeah, it's good to have you in. Your story is so amazing. What made you first have the inspiration to want to become an Ironman?
In the beginning, I didn't even know what an Ironman is. I thought it was something to do with strength. So I was just kind of jogging on a beach and just chatting to somebody, to a coach that was with me. And I asked him, I was like, what are you doing for the rest of the day? And he said, I'm training people for Ironman. I'm like, great. How many pounds do they lift? And he's like, no, it's not like that. Swim about 4K, cycle 180, and run a marathon. I'm like, never, ever in my life would I do something like that. Then by the end of that summer, he said, okay, why don't you just try and do a bike and run event? And I did it. It was in San Diego. That was like in 2000. And I looked at people going in and out of the water. I slowly leaned in and I'm like, no, never. And then before you know it, I started doing a little bit of the shorter distances for a few years. I thought, okay, well, I'm a person that is driven by challenges and goals. And every year I would say, okay, maybe I could try something a little bit better, a little bit longer, be a bit better, have more better equipment. And 2003, I made the decision to move into the Ironman world.
This is incredible. As much as physically challenging it is to do 4K swimming and then come out and ride a bike for 180, then run a full marathon. I mean, many of us wouldn't be able to even do one of it individually, but to do all three of it, it's more mental than physical, isn't it?
100%. It's all mental. Because any type of endurance races that you do, the more time you put on your body, the more your body wants to quit on you. And it's your mind that gets you to the finish line. And it's that feeling of just crossing, the impossible and just conquering yourself and being in control of your body is what makes us addicted and just go sign up for the next one.
How long does it take to train for one? For someone that's not doing any real activity, 6 months, 9 months, or
about a year?
About a year. Okay.
Yeah.
And does it mentally? What do you need to prepare yourself, or is it just a case of consistency of getting up and getting the job done every day?
That is part of the mental training. Is like just having the consistency of getting up, especially on days like here where it's hot. You gotta be ready by 6 to roll in.
See, I reckon the hot makes it easy. It's not like it's minus 15 and it's freezing cold.
No, it makes it difficult.
That's what makes you want to stay in bed.
Which is true, but then when it's so
but
hot,
there's the extreme too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You end up losing more water. You end up losing more electrolytes. You start cramping up more, and the whole challenge becomes like all the more. And you're like, no, it's too hot. Forget it.
Yeah, but it's the consistency because you can't cheat. If you're not ready, you're going to be exposed, and it's going to be quite a painful day.
How much does diet play a role in your success of being an Ironman?
It's a big discipline. It's very, very big because it's what you fuel your body during the race. This race takes about 12 to 17 hours to complete for most of the people. So 17 hours, you got to constantly be eating and drinking, and you got to train your gut to absorb food while you're sweating and running and cycling. It's quite a very, very important part. And then what you eat afterwards, what makes you strong.
Yeah, what do you eat
day.
afterwards? What's the cheat meal? What's the go-to?
Oh, anything. Burger, fries, anything.
You've done...
And hold on. The challenge is to make sure that you eat enough.
Yeah. Wow.
Like you get to a point where you're just burning. You're just like constantly eating. So when I go out to dinner with someone, I apologize. I say, listen, I eat a lot.
You'd be very welcome at plenty of homes. You eat everything on the plate. But that discipline that you've got, that mental strength, how do you take those lessons from your journey and use them in everyday parts of your life?
If I'm ever faced in a challenging situation, I would remind myself, well, I swam in the choppy water and I cycled and I put myself through so much stress and I conquered that. So if you could do that, there's nothing that's difficult for your mind. There is nothing. It's just you deciding to want to do whatever you want to do. And also like having the resources. You could decide to do something really crazy and difficult, but you don't have the tools or the resources or the equipment or the facilities, then you make it much, much harder than it should be.
Tell me something, we talk about this very often. that technology has enabled or helped non-athletes to turn into athletes. Why? Because the variables that we have, the measurements that we get to do, all of these things, because they're measurable, because they're countable, you tend to now compete with yourself as compared to what you were a week back, a month back, probably 6 months back. Is it true that it motivates you enough, or is it also a tool for you to see the number and say, no, this is not moving, this is not shifting? How does technology then change your mentality?
I think technology in the last at least 2-3 years has played a significant role in all these records being broken, like all these professional athletes, like running. It was impossible to go past 8 hours in an Ironman, and now it's almost the norm to go less than 8 hours, because they've got the tools. They know exactly when they should eat. They know how well they recovered. They know their performance, and it's all like we're all wired now. Like I'm wearing a wrist device that would just let me know if my body's really exhausted, did not recover well, how well I slept. Do I need to go to bed early? Was this strain too much? And it's based on like heart rate, your HRV, your glucose monitor. If you're like not fueling properly. So technology is amazing now.
My next question was this exactly: what all technological equipments are on your body or are on your system?
Glucose monitor.
Okay.
Whoop.
Because you're the first person that's come in and I was like, you've got 2 Apple Watches? I couldn't work this out.
No, this is basically just the Whoop is just to measure your recovery and your strain.
Yeah.
So more than just a watch.
How often do you tap your phone on your CGM to check where have the glucose spikes gone?
It sends you a message. It's like,
it does?
But it's been like one of the very interesting devices that I've worn, because it will show you if your system is crashing a lot. It means you're not fueling in the way that is giving you a steady energy. And if you don't have steady energy, then how could you ask your body to perform the impossible when you're not feeding it what it needs?
Well, that's why I have coffee.
I've been a fan.
Coffee is good too. Yeah. I'm a big fan of coffee.
Now, I've been a fan of CGM. I've been working with a couple of athletes who are doing long distance swimmings. For them, CGM is like literally a wake up call every couple of hours that, listen, there's a reminder, your body is not getting fueled properly. Eat well, get yourself fueled up. And especially for long distance athletes, this is something that if your mind is not prepared to eat enough, your body will not be able to compete enough.
And it's very individual. What gives me energy might not
be
work.
What gives,
might not work with you. Maybe something spikes my blood sugar. Maybe something is more steady. And I found it interesting when I was fasting. It was perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there is some science to that, some benefits to it, because you've done so much. But I want to go back to sort of earlier on. There must have been some sort of barriers. You've probably overcome a lot of barriers being a pioneering female athlete in Saudi Arabia. What have you learnt about that and those lessons? What do you want to pass on to other young up-and-coming female athletes?
So the biggest thing that I had a big heart and I had a passion for what I wanted to achieve, but I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know what do I need to do. So the how and the what was not clear for me, and that made my journey a lot of trial and errors. Where do I need to bike? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? What equipment? What coaches? Now this is
Did you need mentors?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because this program has to be very individual. What you can take in terms of a load is different than, your friend, or is different than what you get online.
Well, who were your mentors? Where was the advice? Where was that counsel coming from to be able to have you stay on track to try and achieve your goals?
But in my life, I always believe in mentors, because I always believe there's someone that is better than you, that has gone through all these experiences and then can pass on the knowledge to you. So I had to work with a lot of coaches. Most of them were remotely, and that was again a big obstacle, because I had a lot of Australian coaches, or they lived in Canada, and they did not understand what it's like to be living in Saudi Arabia
that
with
makes
the
sense.
weather.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
There's cultural differences.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, okay, go and do a 4-hour bike ride. I'm like, no, I can't just get on a bike and just go. And this is now we're talking, in the 2000s.
Yeah.
And now it's a different story. And they would be like, no, you got to do it. No, I got to do it indoor. So then all my training, 90% of it was indoor, which is also another challenge, because you don't get the aspect of being, either part of a team and also being in the outdoors. The outdoors gives you a lot of energy. But then when the race day came, I was the happiest. I had a big smile on my face because I was outdoors. I was just living the
It is a community, right? Ironmanners, the way it is all built up, it is a community. You can always reach out to people who have done it, who want to, and then they are willing to help you. There's a friend of mine who does the Ironman regularly here, lives here in the UAE, and he's so many times he tells me, when we sit across the table and talk about things, he tells me about how people from various countries, you just message them, DM them on Instagram, and they'll be more than willing to help you share where the roadblocks come in and how to overcome those roadblocks. Any significant roadblocks that you faced during your training?
Mostly, as I told you, it was mostly just not having the facilities at that time to be able to be outdoor and be able to feel, safe enough in a road that is, equipped for cyclists, where you don't get too many cars that come next to you and stuff. And so most of my training was indoor. That was, I think, the biggest challenge. The other biggest challenge is when you're part of a community, you kind of fuel each other. That's why I'm a big person when it comes to community. Like I'll be part of every race, every community, every group, because I feel it just feeds you. You all wear the same kit. You all kind of
teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah,
if you don't show up in the morning, they'll send you a message like,
exactly.
"Hey, you didn't come today."
True.
But if you're on your own, you're kind of less.
You can cheat the system.
Yeah, a little bit. Take off the watch.
The alarm's going. We'll get rid of it. What's next for you? You've done all this. What's the next challenge that you're looking to overcome?
It's Challenge Roth, and that is happening in about 6 weeks.
Wow, tell me about that. What are the distances?
It's an Ironman distance, so a full Ironman distance. But Challenge Roth is like a bucket list for me. It's a dream race because it happens in Germany, and there's about 50,000 people that come to cheer you.
Wow.
So you feel like you're like a professional when we are not.
This is incredible. So when you're training for an event, how many months before do you get onto a strict diet, or are you on a perpetual strict diet?
Not a strict in terms of strict, but in terms of like what do
Measured.
I need? What do I need to fuel my body in order for it to perform? Now the volume is not consistent through the year.
Right.
So like now I'm going into the high volume. So don't invite me for lunch. I'm gonna eat. So the closer you are to the event, the more attention you have to pay to how you're fueling your body. What food are you feeding your body? When you're still early in the season, you cheat a little bit. And I'm not a super strict person when it comes to diet because
you don't have to be because you're burning so many calories.
No, but it's the quality of food that you eat. So I'd still like to enjoy life and go to dinner and have a nice dessert. And
well, you sound like Neil. We call him Sweets.
I know, I'm a dentist.
See, this is what it is. I mean, sweets, desserts. If you quit them, then what is life all about?
Yeah,
go out and do that extra bit so you can enjoy desserts.
It's all in balance.
It has to be
all in
balance.
Moderation.
True.
But you're not going to eat that every single day.
Very true.
But the weekend, I believe in balance in life. So I'm training, but that doesn't mean I become like a lab rat and not see anyone and just become so obsessed with training, because then you don't enjoy the journey. And big part of the journey is enjoying the people that you have with you, like feeling somewhat balanced and somewhat normal.
Well, Doctor, thank you for coming in and sharing your story. You've been an inspiration. I think it's incredible to be able to get through any... The only thing that makes me want to do an Ironman is I get to go back to Hawaii. Because I haven't been to the Big Island and I think I just want to go to Kona. But I've got a lot more discipline required than that. Yes.
I'll meet you there this year.
Yeah, and you'll probably tell me, and floss regularly up until then. Congratulations on your success. Good luck with the upcoming Challenge Roth. When is that? July in Germany you're racing?
It's June, end of June.
End of June. Well, congratulations on all of your success, and thank you for joining us on Talk 100.3.